welcome for the final time to the Calgary Olympic Oval. It's the last night of the 2018 long track team selections and Canadian single distance championships, and it's the long ones tonight with the women's 5,000 and the men's 10K. We're Gavin Day and Leo Landry here once again. Now let's set this up, Leo. Let's start with the women's 5,000. Not too many skaters are going to try it, but some decent names here going.
Absolutely. We have 5 skaters coming right up. We could say them in one breath. Abigail McCluskey, Victoria Spence, Josie Morrison, Evanie Blondin, Isabel Weidman. This should be an interesting race here. This is going to be one of the few distances where there is a really competitive race for a 2018 long track team spot.
And there we go. Off we go. Abigail McCluskey first to go. She's going to skate 5 kilometers by herself. The 21-year-old youngster from Calgary. She was 4th at the trials in the fall. And she is away now. These long distance races, we saw the men do the 5K earlier on in this competition. Leo, now what are the keys to doing a good 5 kilometer race?
The 5K is the longest distance the women race. That's 12.5 laps around this 400-meter oval. To race a good long-distance race like this, the skaters have to skate very consistently. If they're accelerating and decelerating, they're wasting a lot of speed, which will affect them and their final time at the end of the race. So keep an eye on those lap times. The skaters will aim for a certain target pace and try to stick to it. And we'll see if that pace was too fast or too slow at the end in those final times.
McCluskey just worrying about being consistent right now. There's a time check coming up. We'll see where she is. And after her first full lap, it's a 33.92 lap time after 600 meters, 55.15 overall.
McCluskey's personal best is a 7:25.53. Just for reference, in order to skate that time, she has to skate an average of 35.3 seconds per lap. So far she is ahead of pace. But McCluskey generally a little bit more of a sprinter, so expect her to start a bit faster, and we'll see if she has the legs at the end.
There's another split coming through. Lap time 34.26. She's gone 1 kilometer, a fifth of the way through. Now, Leo, we've seen Abigail throughout this competition. She's been in a few different events. How does it feel to wrap up a long week with a 5 kilometer race?
You know, for some of these young skaters, this might be one of the first few times they've ever actually had the opportunity to race these. On the Canadian scene, there are only 3 important 5K races for the women. Those are the fall trials, this event, and then the oval finale or Canada Cup 4 at the end of the season. So not many opportunities for young skaters to race over the longest distance. So every race is a learning opportunity, learning to push their bodies to new limits, and she'll be tired, but it's the last competition, it's the last race of the weekend. What the heck, why not?
Now we see she's by herself in a 5 kilometer race, and with the long blades like that on the ice, of course, any wrong move and you can end up slipping right out. Now, how does an athlete stay focused, especially as the fatigue really starts to set in?
Well, these skaters will look to really focus on each stride and on their technical elements throughout the race. If they're thinking about the finishing line or they're thinking about their lap times, then their head really isn't in the right place. So expect the skaters to think each stride as being all important. And that's what makes some of the best skaters over these long distances so good, is that they're able to keep their head in the right place as their body gets really tired and as those laps just drone on.
34.8 the lap time is McCluskey coming up to the halfway mark after 2,200 meters. She's just a shade over 3 minutes, 13 seconds. 2 more pairs after this one. They were all the ones who were the ones to beat in the fall trials. Isabel Weidman, Victoria Spence, and Josie Morrison. Looking ahead to that second pair, I don't want to get too far ahead, but it's a bit of a family battle there.
Absolutely. 2 sisters. Victoria Spence, the eldest of the clan. Josie Spence, her younger sibling. Or Josie Morrison, my mistake. Recently, Josie Morrison married Denny.
now past the halfway mark as McCluskey. It's looking like she's a little bit going side to side a bit more. How would you assess sort of her body position right now, Leo?
You know, she's still holding everything together technically, but you can see it on her face. She's starting to get a little more tired, a bit of a pained expression. Her mouth is opening a bit wider, trying to get more oxygen. Keep an eye on her shoulders. Generally, as skaters start to get tired, their upper bodies will start to move a bit more. And in doing so, the skaters cheat and they release a little bit of weight off those legs. But the penalty for that is that they get a bit less pressure and a bit less speed. And we can really see she is starting to slow down, so you called it.
Last lap time 35.43. She's got 2,000 meters, well now less than that to go as McCluskey will come up to the line. She's got back to having both arms on her back, just trying to keep it consistent right now. 35.38 that latest lap time, so not much of a drop off for her.
So McCluskey now has 4 laps remaining. This is really where the going gets tough in the 5,000 meters. And this is where she really has to bear down and give everything she has. And you can see it with her arm swings that she's putting all her effort into each stride. She kept that last lap in the low 35s. Let's see if she can do that again.
McCluskey has been on a Canadian World Juniors team, competed in China a couple of years ago. Let's check that lap time, 35.95, still under 36 seconds, Leo.
Absolutely, so that was a good job there. It's important that she keeps these next few laps relatively consistent. She will likely drop a little bit of speed, but if she can stem the bleeding, she is in line for a good time. She's well ahead of her personal best pace so far.
Quick drop of both arms there to get her wound into the corner. McCluskey, that personal best time, 7:25.53, was competed at those fall trials. As you mentioned, Leo, they don't get too many times to do a 5K. So she is, last time she did it probably, she set that personal best. That lap time into the 36, so 2 to go, 36.48 the lap time.
So if you stuck around and watched the men, or if you were watching earlier and watched the men's 5,000 meter, you may have noticed that the men generally stick to a certain pace or lap times a little bit more consistently than the women do. Strategy for the women is to go out a little bit faster and slowly drop off their speed throughout the rest of the race.
Here comes the bell. McCluskey has done 4,600 meters, 36.86 the lap time, so not too much movement there either. Less than 400 meters to go.
She's right on pace for that personal best. She drops both arms on the backstretch, trying to will her body to the finish line. In the final corner, Abigail McCluskey with 100 meters remaining.
McCluskey, a personal best time, 7:25.53, as she mentions, dropping both arms, trying to keep those legs moving as she reaches for the line. Her time, 7:25 even, so she's knocked half a second off her personal best in a final lap there, 36.16.
Great race, well skated. She was paired on her own. There was no skater skating beside her, so McCluskey did a good job on her own to find the way to a small personal best, but a personal best nonetheless.
And as we have, that was the first pair with just the one skater. McCluskey has the standard to beat at the moment. Second pair about ready to get underway. Looking just quickly over at the men's 10K still to come. 3 pairs in that as well, with 5 skaters going for it. Now, Leo, we see even Blondin. She's been in a few events. She didn't do the fall trials. She's here doing the 5K here, though. What's to be gained from doing a 5K now, other than potentially another team selection spot?
Well, even Blondin, as you mentioned, is pre-selected for Canada's 2018 team in this distance. So there's not a whole lot on the line here for her, but every race is a chance to gain some more experience and put your body through the works in order to prepare it for the big event when it really matters.
And here is that sisterly battle now underway. Victoria Spence, Josie Morrison. previously Josie Spence, now racing her sister. So any parent's nightmare watching their two children go head-to-head, trying not to play favorites.
Now, Gavin, there is a lot on the line here. Just for reference, there are 4 skaters who have to finish this 5K coming up. Victoria Spence, Josie Morrison on the ice right now. Evgeny Blondin, Isabelle Weidman coming up next. Canada has 2 spots in this distance up for grabs. Now, the skaters must achieve a time standard of 7:15.74, and all skaters remaining have achieved that time span standard. Now, Evgeny Blondin has pre-qualified for one of those spots. It means that the other 3, Spence, Morrison, and Weidman, are battling for one spot.
It's all on the line very much here between these skaters. Adds a little sizzle to the steak here tonight. There's the time after 600 meters ahead of McCluskey's time. Now, I've noticed something that we haven't really had in the other races. There's music going on in there in the oval right now.
Absolutely. In the longer distances, sometimes they play music while the skaters are racing, even at the World Cup level. Just adds a little bit of a more exciting atmosphere in the building.
If you're a skater, might it potentially add a tempo or a rhythm to chase? Is there any way they could choose what gets played?
Skaters have no choice in the music that gets played. But in my experience when I skated, I completely tuned out everything but my coach's voice and the lap times.
And I guess that brings me to another question here. For those of us who've never raced in a skin suit, what can you hear with that hood up over your ears?
Not a whole lot. You can hear the wind, blowing past your head. But if someone speaks to you or yells, you can hear them. It's not like the athletes have earmuffs or anything on. But generally, it would be relatively hard to gain the attention of some of these skaters. As we mentioned earlier, in these long distances in particular, they really dial in and focus on their technique and on nailing that consistency, because that is really what gives them a competitive finish.
Coming up to 800 meters, it's Morrison with the lead, 33.93 the lap time. Victoria Spence, that's her 33.93, apologies. Morrison 33.37, a couple seconds under the time set by McCluskey. So if they're maintaining this tempo, they will be the 2 fastest skaters at the line.
Josie Morrison really starting to pour it on. She really took it to her sister in that last lap. See if Victoria Spence has an answer down this 100 meters. Often in these long distance races, the skaters will play mind games with each other. They'll stick side by side next to each other, and then in one lap, sometimes the skater will accelerate just a little bit.
And Morrison making that move there. You see 33.54. Spence dips into the 34s.
Crucial point of the race here for Victoria Spence. She has to bring this next lap down if she wants to be competitive. She's chasing that spot on the team.
It's a pretty fun race when you sort of can check the time checks and it sort of move, counter move, see who can respond. It's 33.88 for Morrison, pulling out a little bit more over her sister, who went 34.2. Both of them out of Kamloops, BC.
These 2 skaters about halfway through the race, just over halfway. When they come around, they'll have 5 to go. Josie Morrison keeping her lap times in the 33s.
Morrison trying to add to that lead. Has a couple meters on her sister. We'll check the next split time, 33.94, so a little bit of a dip, but still in the 33s. Spence, 34.46, so not much drop off for her, but she is that little bit slower right now.
So it really seems like both skaters are settling into different paces. Victoria Spence doing a good job sticking with her sister earlier on in the race, but she just couldn't cut it at that pace. We'll see if Josie Morrison can. Don't forget, they're not just racing each other, they are racing Blondin and Weidman in the next pair, so they want to post the most competitive time they can, as Morrison brings it down, 33.75.
And Weidman, as you mentioned her, she won the fall trials, so if Blondin has one spot, it's really anyone's game, and Weidman may be the little favorite to claim that second spot because she has done it before. as we are now at 3,400 meters and closing in on the finish line.
Absolutely. Isabel Weidman has the advantage skating in the last pair. She will be able to see what her two competitors skate in this race.
At 3,800 meters, 3 laps to go, still in the 33s is Josie Morrison with a 33.82, Spence a 34.79. So now 11 seconds plus over McCluskey's lead. It's just a matter of not having too much of a drop-off for Morrison, and she'll go fastest.
Josie Morrison currently on pace for personal best. Her best time is a 7:04.76. So if she can keep these lap times in the mid to high 33s, she'll be on pace to beat that, maybe even crack that 7-minute barrier.
You see on the side in the red jacket, her husband, Denny Morrison, cheering her on. Inside 2 laps to go, a 33.91. Still not into the 34s, a very consistent race so far.
So she's done a very good job. Every once in a while, she'll have a lap that trends upwards, but the next one, she brings it right back down. Good resiliency and good fight in the latter portions of this race.
Coming up into the bell lap, it looks like she's got the pair locked up, barring any late drama. But Morrison, there's the bell, the sweet sound. Up to 400 meters to go, dips into the 34s for the first time, a 34.11. Spence is going to cross the line in just a second, a 35.14 into the 35s.
She's really going for it on this backstretch, swinging an arm. Coach is encouraging her on into the final corner.
Morrison for the final time into the home stretch. There's again her husband clapping her on to the finish line. Josie Morrison looking strong as she comes to the line. Easily the fastest time to beat so far. She reaches 7:05.99, 19 seconds ahead of the time set by McCluskey. Her sister comes in with a 7:13.39. So at the moment they go 1 and 2.
So 7:05.99 is the time to beat. That is the target for Evanie Blondin and Isabel Weidman.
Looks like it is a new season's best time for Josie Morrison. Her previous set back in September, which was a little over 7:07.
Not only are team spots on the line here, there's also hardware. This is the Canadian Single Distance Championships. We will crown a Canadian champion over the ladies 5,000 meter.
And Morrison has assured of herself of a spot on the podium with that skate, which brings us up to our final pair. It's the Battle of Ottawa. Evanie Blondin, Isabel Weidman, 2 top skaters in the 5,000 meters. There is the leaderboard as we stand right now. All BC skaters, a couple from Ontario still to come.
And what a pair this is. Evanie Blondin and Isabel Weidman, 2 skaters who've been fixtures in this distance for Canada over the last few years on the world stage.
2 almost different skaters, as you always like to point out, Leo. There's no set body type in speed skating. You see Weidman, big, tall, long legs. Quite the opposite for Blondin, where she's shorter and lower to the ground.
Absolutely. Speed skating is one of those sports where it doesn't really matter your body type. Skaters of all different shapes and sizes can be very competitive. But if you look at their stride lengths, you see the furthest extent their blades get. Evanie Blondin, for such a short person, is able to get such long strides. She maximizes the pressure she gets with every push.
These 2 went 1-2 with Blondin winning in the 3,000 meters a couple nights ago. Very evenly matched skaters.
Both skaters slowly starting to settle into this race in the low 33s. Basically right on pace with Josie Morrison, maybe just a bit quicker. So these 2 are racing each other for that gold medal here at the Single Distance Championships, but Isabel Weidman's sights are certainly pegged right on that time set by Josie Morrison, 7:05.99. That's the target she has to achieve in order to put herself into contention for team selection.
With Blondin pre-qualified, and that's a load off her mind, does that sort of allow her just to skate that little bit freer and go for the national championship?
I'm sure it does. the team selections competition is always a stressful one, and anytime a skater doesn't have to worry about that and can focus on the international competitions instead, it's always a big bonus. But Evgeny Blondin is a very competitive person. Most of these athletes are. And so she'll want to win. It doesn't matter which race it is. It could be a time trial. It could be the Canadian Championships. It could be a World Cup, the Olympics. But she wants that gold medal.
Well, now she has fallen that little bit behind. Weidman goes 32.95. Blondin 33.41. Both of them still ahead of the standard set by Morrison at 1,400 meters.
Isabel Weidman banking some time early. She has a second up on Morrison.
As we saw, Morrison kept it in the 33s for so long. I suppose that's the one thing Weidman has to prevent, is just a quick drop-off at any point.
Absolutely, and that's where that mental game in the back half of the race will matter so much. If doubt starts to creep into Isabel Weidman's mind in the last half of the race, could affect her skating and it could affect her final time. Josie Morrison did a good job of keeping her lap times down and in those 33s.
0.03 of a second separated these two skaters the last time round. Looks like Weidman might have taken a little bit more out this lap, but we'll see as they cross the line here. It's getting close to the halfway mark. A 33.15 for Weidman, 33.54 for Blondin.
Weidman continuing to pour it on here. She's pulling just a little bit ahead of Evgeny Blondin, but Blondin is such a good skater. I wouldn't count her out.
When there are spots on the line like tonight where there's really one available, they are friends when they're off the ice. How tough is it to sort of be supportive, but at the same time still thinking, I still have a chance on my own here? It's a bit of an odd dynamic here, Leo.
Absolutely. The skaters, it's a small sport, and the skaters mostly all train together at the same facility, often with the same coaches. And so it can be difficult to create that separation, which allows you to be competitive and want to beat the other skater. But, they're all compatriots, they're all teammates, but they are also competitors. And
Weidman now with some daylight between Blondin. They'll come up to 3,000 meters. Important checkpoint coming up here. Let's check that lap time. 33.37, still in the low 33s go Weidman. 34.65 for Blondin.
She now has 2.7 seconds up on Josie Morrison, chasing that 2018 long track team spot. Isabel Weidman pulling away almost a straightaway ahead of Evgeny Blondin. If Blondin hasn't answered, this is when she has to give it.
We only saw Morrison dip into the 34s closer to the end of the race. Blondin now has given herself some work to do. Weidman clocks in with another good one, 33.21, more than 3 seconds up on the time set by Morrison.
So we're seeing a repeat of the fall selections earlier this year where Isabel Weidman took first place over Evgeny Blondin. What could be happening here is Isabel Weidman had a lot on the line coming into this race, and so she would have organized all of her training in order to peak for this moment. Evgeny Blondin has her eyes set squarely on a month and a half from now.
3 laps to go, still in the low 33s goes Weidman, 33.36. How's that for consistency? Almost down to the 100th of a second.
She is on an amazing pace here. She's chasing a personal best. She's chasing the top time in that gold medal. She's keeping it down, all high 32s, low 33s.
Doesn't look like it's Blondin's day today. Weidman has built up a bit of an advantage. It's her race to lose with 2 laps to go. That close from a national championship, 33.58. Really the first time she's gone over the 33.3s in the last couple laps, as she's now over 4 seconds ahead of Josie Morrison split at that point.
Don't forget, Josie Morrison let her times go a little bit in the last few laps, so Isabel Weidman has a lot of time to give up here.
Weidman's face really giving nothing away. If there's any pain or expression isn't showing it, she's coming up to 1 lap to go, maintaining her composure. There's the bell. Her lap time, 33.43.
She looks ever so smooth. She's going to be right around the 7-minute mark.
Coach Marcel Lacroix, some final instructions as she comes up to 200 meters to go. There's a little pain coming through on her face, but she's very smooth from the looks of things coming up to 100 meters to go.
Isabel Weidman dropping an arm now. Often skaters will do this in the last lap as she comes to the line.
Let's check that time. 7 minutes 64. She's up by 5.35 seconds. And Isabel Weidman, Canadian national champion in the 5,000 meters. Look at that lap time, 33.52. Very little drop off in her lap times as Blondin just wanting to get to the finish. She's cruising her way in. And she finishes with a 7:23.75, but the day belongs to Isabel Weidman.
Absolutely. Isabel Weidman with a big win here, putting herself in a good position to qualify for Canada's long track team. Don't forget, Yvonne Blondin has pre-qualified over this distance, but was off the podium today. Did not look strong right from the beginning. First place was Isabel Weidman. Second place, Josie Morrison. Victoria Spence rounds off the top three.
There's a fist pump from a very happy Isabel Weidman. We'll take a bit of a pause coming up. We'll be back before you know it with the men's 10,000 meters. There's a final look at the 5,000 meter ladies leaderboard. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the 10K. We go even longer in just a few minutes.